Hi, this is Christian Howard, aka Ken Masters, and you are listening to Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mikhail Kasanova, and I'm coming at you with another amazing interview. And this time it's going to be with the one and only Christian Howard. Now, you're going to be familiar with Christian Howard if you're a fan of Street Fighter, because he has portrayed Ken in 3 different iterations, from Street Fighter The Legacy, also with Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, and also with Street Fighter Resurrection. And with these films, he worked with Joey Anta, and what they were doing is they were making some of the most original and true-to-life versions of Street Fighter. I mean, organic or authentic to a T. This is really good. He's a phenomenal actor. He's done a lot of other things, a lot of other acting and directing and writing and designing and more. So if you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead and welcome this phenomenal guest onto the show. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mikhail Kasanova, and I have with me the one, the only, I'm super honored, super stoked to have him on the show, Christian Howard. Man, introduce yourself and plug your outlets and upcoming ventures.
Well, Mikhail, thank you for reaching out. It's great to be on here. Hello, everyone. Christian Howard. I play Ken Masters in Street Fighter Legacy, Assassin's Fist, and Resurrection. So you might know me from that, and I'm really excited to be on the show. It's good to hear from you.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Where can people find you if they're looking to find some of your work as far as like social media and whatnot?
Oh, if you're looking on socials, Instagram, which is what I use most often, is just at Christian Howard. Twitter, I'm at Christmas Howard, I think. I don't really use that one. I just linked it to my Instagram. And then you can find me on Facebook at Christian Howard Official. So just check out all of them. Easy to find, you know. There's a few Christian Howards, but you'll see me. Christian Howard Ken, and I'll show up.
Very true. Very true. Go ahead, man. Like, tell us, give us a brief background about yourself. Some of the things you're working on. I know you're working on a new movie, Jack. So
yeah, there's a couple of things. Well, there's always things in the pipeline, I guess. And yeah, since we did Assassin's Fist, I'm originally from England. So if you guys don't know that from my accent, I don't know where it is at the moment. But because
I wouldn't have guessed.
Because I'm playing American in the show, everyone assumes that. And I live there now. I live in Los Angeles. So before that, I grew up in England, and that's where we kind of based Assassin's Fist out of, and all the Street Fighter ventures up till that point. And then after that, I moved to the States. So that's where I'm set up now, kind of auditioning out there and putting projects together on my own. But yeah, basically, I've got a couple of things coming up, but it's always tentative. You've got things on the back burner all the time, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get to do another Street Fighter outing. But no news as of yet. So everyone that keeps asking, I'm sorry, I don't have any updates, but as soon as we know, you'll know.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. I mean, I loved your portrayal of Ken. I think from the look to the moves to just everything, like, you encapsulated what Ken Master is. So you did phenomenal with it.
I appreciate that. That's really nice of you to say. And that was a key point for what myself and Joey were trying to do with the series. Was Joey Anser, my co-writer, director of the series, also played Akuma in it. We really wanted to show like a true portrayal of what the characters are about, how they look and how they act. You know, even the fighting style it's way too common to have like martial arts movies or just movies with action in that just go, oh, we'll just get them to do a kick and a punch here. But we just wanted to make it as true as possible to the game characters and have that really come to life in an authentic way, which I think is becoming more the trend now. People seem to want to keep it to what the fans want to see and the true to the source, rather than like, oh, we'll do something completely different and try and get as many kind of people in the theater as they can. kind of dumb it down, make it very generic. So yeah, that's basically what we were trying to do, and just keep it as a true sort of origin story of those characters.
Yeah, so it makes me want to ask, like, are you a fan of the Street Fighter series, and are you a video gamer as well?
Oh, absolutely. So that was what the series was born out of. Joey and I used to live together in London, and we
Oh,
would
wow.
play. Yeah, so we were roommates, and we used to play Marvel vs. Capcom mostly, and then we played MVC2, which I was a big fan of. I had my team; it was all set up. MVC3 came out, and my team's nowhere to be seen. Ken's not in it, for one thing, which is outrageous. Cyclops, he was my boy, and then Colossus, and none of them are there, so I gave up on that. But
Colossus is so broken.
So we would play a lot of that and a lot of Street Fighter 4, and we were just like, someone should make like a true to the kind of anime and the video game style of Street Fighter. So basically we took it upon ourselves to do, and that's where Street Fighter Legacy, the first short that we did, that's where that came out of. It was like a 3 minutes of proof of concept of that this is what we want to do with the characters, and there was some good stuff and some stuff that we had to change, but it was about putting it out there and listening to what the response was. Like, I don't know if you remember that one, if you saw it, but we added like eyebrows.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. So that was like to stay true to the game, but obviously it looked a little too much, so we scrapped that. But there was other things that was like, okay, well, this works, we'll keep it. That didn't work, we'll get rid of it, and kind of refined it a little bit until, I mean, honestly, we had kind of a lot of time to do that, because Assassin's Fist, people might not realize, took a few years to put together, even from like having written the script and then getting to refine it, and just money coming in and casting and everything. It all takes a long time, which is another reason why a follow-up has been so long coming, is because things do take a lot of time to put together. And sometimes there's like rush jobs that come in, like, okay, you just need to get it out there, and then people are like, oh, I wish they had more time to work on the script and whatnot. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, really. It's like pros and cons.
Okay. Because you guys, I think the last one you did was Resurrection, which I thought was really good. That was really good. I was like, man, I'm ready to see what happens next. And then we didn't hear anything, and I kind of figured too, because I mean, there's a licensing issues, and then
there's always a lot of like that red tape and dealing with the bigger companies like Capcom and what they want to do with things. And then that was on Verizon Go 90, which was a new sort of platform to watch things on. I'm not sure if it's still going at the moment, but I think that was why a lot of people couldn't watch it, because it wasn't just like on YouTube. And I was a little less involved in that because I'd already moved to the States, so I came back to reprise the role. And it was a tie-in with the Street Fighter 5 game, so it was kind of to showcase that as well and introduce some new characters. So we had Elaine Moussi as Nash and Natasha Hopkins as Laura, and we just wanted to show like there's a wider world out there from Ryu and Ken and the kind of Hado, the Shoto clones, Yeah. And that was always the plan as well, to do like a World Warrior series that shows Guile and Chun-Li, and how are they going to fit in without that almost like Japanese aesthetic of like, the mystical martial arts training. Now you've got a guy who's like an army grunt, but he's like throwing his own energy attacks, sonic booms, and you're like, well, how does that work if he's not using his key? And it was to kind of explore those sort of things as well, and set up for that. And I think the people that did see it was a good response, but unfortunately it wasn't available as readily. So I think a lot of people hadn't even seen it yet.
Yeah, I think I got to see it at the time when it came out. I did have Verizon, so I was able to watch it once or twice. But then, it's. I know a lot of people, especially out here in Hawaii, who don't have Verizon. They were super interested in wanting to see it, because there was like, I'll say this, like, you guys had a lot of people out here in Hawaii that loved Assassin's Fist.
That's awesome.
And they wanted to see the follow-up, the Resurrection. We're like, they're like, oh, Mikhail, can you pull it up on your iPad or your iPhone? I'm like, yeah. They're like, is there a way for you to copy this? I'm like, I have no idea how to do that on an iPhone.
Well, I mean, it's the same because it was available in North America. So, I mean, I downloaded Go 90 and watched it. But a lot of the guys in England that were involved in making it couldn't even watch it, which is crazy, Yeah, that's the way it goes. And, it's always that way with filming projects. There's things happen. You can't always control everything that you want to control, but you got to roll with it, I guess.
True.
But that's good to hear. There's a lot of fans in Hawaii. I want to come out there sometime because I've never been to Hawaii. So
what?
Yeah, well, I know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you definitely need to come out here, man. Like, let me know if you ever come out here. I'll show you to our scene.
That's awesome.
Since you're into fighting games, like we have an amazing scene out here, especially on Oahu. Our group's called Video Gamers Hawaii. It's run by my friend Keith Limos, and every tournament we're constantly having something big. Dude, I want to ask you, like, what are some of the things like you're interested in or hobbies that you enjoy? Like something that the average fan may not know about you.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess the obvious one is training. That's part of like what we do as I want to say like action actors, but we're actors that also are interested in physicality. So I've been doing gymnastics for a long time, and I did a lot of different martial arts, which in terms of movies is a good thing to have a kind of wider knowledge of different styles, because they may ask you, okay, we need like a traditional looking like kung fu fight, and then you might have to do something that's more like, you know, contemporary sort of like boxing brawl. So having a bit more knowledge of like different styles kind of lets you adapt, and especially in movies, that's what it's all about, being able to adapt to the choreography and being easy to work with as well. I don't know if you can hear that or not.
No, it's fine. It's not even that loud. It's fine.
Yeah, so that's a huge part of it. You know, training the physicality, which is what we did for part of the role as well. Was I'm gonna wait until this is done.
Please come to gate 9C for your passport verification. Thank you.
One guy is not on his flight. Anyway, so yeah, the physicality of you know, which comes into play when you're playing characters that are physical. So the guys in the game are obviously like super jacked. So we had to do that as best we could. So I know for myself and Joey, we'd been training for a long time because we knew it was coming. We like had full 100% faith that this was going to happen. So we'd been training a long time. That's how they know it's real. There's no one here. Who are they talking to? I don't know.
Next, guest traveling with children under the age of 2, guest traveling with pets in the cabin, and guests who require additional time to board the aircraft. Followed by our emergency exit row, which is...
I mean, is that distracting for you? Or
No, it's not.
Oh. Try and talk over it, but I'll lose my train of thought.
No, I fully understand. Like, my wife and I, we actually just got a house, so we just moved the last 2.5 weeks ago. We moved in here, and the place we used to live was so loud. We were on the busiest intersection, in Honolulu, so you're constantly hearing like cars go by, fire alarms, fire trucks, and I'm over here trying to do podcasts. I'm like, yep. Let me mute that. Oh, okay. So I know how that is.
That's cool. Well, apologies, but
no worries.
Yeah. So as I was saying, like training is a big part of, you know, I go to the gym. Depends, but like a lot of times a week, and not just to weightlift, but to do different stuff. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I do a lot of climbing stuff when I can. I like doing that, and so especially when I put on some size for playing roles like Street Fighter, then suddenly climbing's a lot harder because you're now carrying around extra poundage. And I know even for when we were doing Assassin's Fist for Mike, for instance, Mike Mo played Ryu, he put on about 30 pounds to play the role, to kind of, you know, so we kind of looked about the same. And that was like hell for him because he had to like try and do tatsumakis, which he's used to doing no problem flying around. Now suddenly he's like lifting extra weight, and you know, you have to kind of get used to it. So training will always be a part of my life. I think things that I like to do. It's going to be like so choppy. The cars are going to like, but it should be fine. Yeah, so training, that's one thing. Also, I mean, my background is in design, and that's something that from a creative standpoint, not only writing and filmmaking, but for me to convey like ideas that I have, I find visually the best way to do it for myself, you know. As you can see, I'm so inarticulate right now, but I'll show you a picture of what I'm talking about. So yeah, even again, to relate it back to Street Fighter was me kind of drawing pictures of like, this is what I want the dojo to look like. And then we had an architect kind of draw up some proper plans. So it went from like a, you know, drawing on paper of me saying, make the dojo like this. And then suddenly, boom, we had a building. And Yeah, all those kind of things. And the hope was that we would do kind of a nice coffee table sort of production book that had all that in. So there was like my drawings, and our talented photographer, Theo Chalmers, he was on set all the time, like documenting everything from start to finish. So that would be great if we could do that one day, because I did a lot of sketches for that. And I'd love for people to see just the process of like, you know, I love seeing those design books. So you watch like Batman Begins or something like that, and it goes from concept sketches to like what it finally turned out like, and how they had to change things. And yeah, that's a real big interest of mine, is the design sort of side of things. So I'll do that with other things as well. For every project I do, I'll pretty much try and, you know, visually tell what I'm doing, storyboarding it, or doing some costume designs or something like that. So art is another big passion of mine. And then, because I live in California now and the weather's a bit nicer.
That should be part of the outtakes.
I know. I don't know where can you go in an airport that's quiet though. There's nowhere. So we'll deal. But yeah, so I mean, anyone that does go on my Instagram has got like very few things. Like, it's got me training. It's got stupid puns, and it's probably got me on a motorcycle, because so I ride a motorcycle around LA. I love doing that, because you can't really do it in England. I mean, you can, but the weather's so bad that it's like I don't want to ride in the rain. And unfortunately,
what kind of motorcycle do you ride?
I have a Triumph right now. It's a British bike, so it's keeping it true. But yeah, I mean, in California, it's pretty nice to ride around. So that's how I get about. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of my interests, I guess. From the design standpoint, I just got into like doing a lot more metalwork stuff as well. So anything kind of creative, trying to build things like that. That's kind of, I think they're transferable skills, which is what I like about them as well. Like, if you can draw something, if you can design it, you can apply that to so many different areas that it just becomes indisposable.
Cool. I was gonna ask you, like, you know, coming from England to live in LA, like, how is that transition? Like, not only culturally, but like, you know, weather, you know, adjusting. How is that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's a lot of similarities, but then once you live somewhere, you'll kind of see the differences. Anyone that's kind of moved to another city, you see the differences more apparently when you suddenly have to survive and you're out of like vacation mode. So when I first went to LA, I was like, oh, this is amazing. The weather's so good. I have people writing in about this certain passenger who's missing his flight. Yeah, so after I moved to LA, it's like moving to any. I'm sorry. This is the most entertaining podcast you've done. And so anyway, yeah, I think anyone that moves to a big like major city, you have an adjustment period of, depending on who's this guy who needs his boarding pass. Just get it. Zone 1 and Zone 2. I wonder if there's like 1,000 people around the corner that I didn't know about, and they're all getting told what to do. What was I saying? I don't know. Yeah, moving to another country, like, you know, England. For anyone that's been there, it's a great place to visit, and I love going back now. But when I was living there, I was a little more under the weather, literally. I guess it's like very grey skies, and you know, in London, people don't really talk to each other as much as openly. And you go to California, and people are like, "Hey, how's it going?" They're all kind of like happier to be alive. And you know, that's a veneer, of course, of like everyone's doing well, and once you live somewhere, you have to survive. And so I've been in Los Angeles about 4 years now. So you kind of have, you know, you have some good times and some bad times, and you find your feet. And now I'm pretty happy there. I would say that's my home, and then I go and visit England when I go and see my family and stuff for Christmas. But I only really go back in the winter, so I get a taste of that British winter, and then I go, right, forget this, I'm going back to California. And except this year, I came back in January, and it has been raining nonstop. So no riding around, just trying to avoid. People can't drive in LA anyway. I think that's fair to say. Anyone out there listening, that's fair to say. And yeah, basically, got to be very careful on a motorcycle, and even more so when it rains. So got caught in it a couple of times, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, have you been to LA?
Yeah, I actually go there a lot for business training. I
Mm,
work as a technical analyst for the hospital out here, so
hmm.
I handle all their telephony software and whatnot. And often I have to go to either LA or Indianapolis or sometimes even New York for training to get more certifications. And so when I go there, primarily I go to LA, and I swear to God, the traffic is so horrible there.
Yeah.
What should take like 10, 15
No,
minutes. Oh my goodness.
well, that's another reason why I'm on a bike as well, because I just like cut through it. I mean, there's obviously the risk involved, but I don't really think about the traffic too much. I mean, recently I rode down to Mexico to visit
Hmm.
down there, and then coming back over the border, everyone's waiting like 5-6 hours to get through, and I was like just straight through. So it's pros and cons, but I find it a little easier to get around as long as you got your wits about you and you're not doing anything too stupid, which happens sometimes, I guess.
All right. What I want to ask, like, what got you into acting? Like, what inspired you to become an actor?
I was always a big fan of movies. I guess most people probably are, but that was
Hmm.
a huge thing for me, and I had people I looked up to, especially growing up, kind of in the '80s. It
Continuing the
was
boarding process for YJ 1417 to Calgary. At this time, we're welcoming.
if you can't hear it, I'll just go on. But basically,
No,
hear
it's
this
your
guy.
facial expressions are
I know.
classic. You're like, fucking hey.
But yeah, I grew up in the '80s, so like me and my brother were both into like these action movies. He's a couple of years older than me, so he had like a wall full of VHS tapes of like all these old. We had like all the Arnolds and Stallones and Van Dams, but then all these like more obscure martial arts movies with like Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton and Jalal Marie and all these kind of people. So
Hmm.
I watched all of those, like China O'Brien and all that stuff. And then that's where you start like practicing moves and stuff, and then. Um, yeah, just where I grew up. I was in this little seaside town in Essex in England. I don't know if anyone knows that, but it's a I was in deepest, darkest Essex. So the train line stops there. It doesn't go through. So you have to go there to be there, and to go out and be an actor from such a town like that is almost like unfathomable. People are like no, you can't do it. It's an unrealistic goal. But then I went to university just north of London, and that got me closer to the city. And then I thought, oh, actually, maybe I can do this. So I went into London. I was doing training there, different acting courses and everything. I thought, okay, I could actually see myself doing this, and then kind of went all in. So I was saying before, design's a big part of what I do. So my degree at university was in art and design, but I thought even at the time I don't really want to do this for a living. I don't know, like designing for other people is quite a frustrating life, because you've got what you like as a designer and you're like trying to be like, yeah, this is cool design, and then they're like, oh, when you add some pink to it, and you're like, yeah. So I knew I didn't really want to do that. But as I said, it didn't seem like that attainable to become an actor from where I was. But after doing that degree, I was like, okay, I'm all in. So I moved into London. That's when Joey and I lived together, and just kind of started going from there. You get involved in smaller projects, and then bigger and bigger, and then eventually creating our own, which is kind of the dream. Look up to people like Stallone after writing Rocky, or Matt Damon and Ben Affleck with Good Will Hunting. You're like, okay, this can be done. I mean, obviously you hear of the winners and the thousands of people that tried it and it didn't work out, but you've got to have enough self-belief and motivation to make that happen, and a good team around you as well, which was what we had for Assassin's Fist. Was like kind of lightning in a bottle. All the right people came at the right time. Like I said, it took like years to put together, but that was all in service of having the right team at the right time to make it what it was. And I think the fans responded to that well, and it kind of made it more authentic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I would say it blew fully, not out of the water, out of the galaxy, what Hollywood did with the two Street Fighter movies. I
Sure.
just, it's just Hollywood and video games. Ugh.
Well, yeah, there is a disconnect, and like I said, I think that's changing more so now, where the passionate filmmakers, the people that are really into it, are getting the chance to make it on a bigger scale as well. So before, it's just like, oh, someone like, well, for instance, the Van Damme Street Fighter movie, which is a huge inspiration for us to make something that we would enjoy more, you know? So there's a side of it that's like, okay, well, they just hash this script out. I think D'Souza had like, what was it, a couple of weeks or less than a week to write the script, and then it was like, all right, you just gotta make this now. And it's that kind of like rush job, and just, oh, we'll cast this guy, oh well, we can make DJ the Jamaican kickboxer as a tech guy. We'll just put, you know, that sort of decision making is what fans like us were just like, oh God, why have they done this? You know, so we were inspired to do something else and do something different. And I think that is changing now. You've got like a lot of people involved in Marvel that are super involved in like, they enjoy the comics. They want to make it what the fans want to see, and themselves as fans. So that's what our kind of MO was with Street Fighter, was like, we as fans, what would you want to see? And then hopefully if the other fans kind of share your vision, then we can all make something good for everyone, rather than just trying to get people involved in something that is so generic. So yeah, that was the idea, and I think it has changed a lot now. I'm going to ramble a lot, so just jump in whenever you want.
No, man. It's all about organic conversations. Like I said, whatever comes to mind, you can talk about it. We'll flow with it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
What I would really love to see, if you guys ever had the chance to, would be like Final Fight, like doing something with Cody Guy and Haggard. I think you guys would do phenomenally well.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, in a lot of ways a darker story as well, because there's, you know, it's a bit more, I mean, Street Fighter's called Street Fighter, but there's a lot more kind of honor in battle, if you know, like everyone's got their own style and it's more of a tournament sort of thing. But that, you know, Cody and Guy are just going down the streets, like wrecking people, throwing knives at them. You know, it's much more like, you could do such a dark version of that was like really, really violent and like R-rated. You know, that would be pretty interesting to explore, because it is, you know, a fairly easy story. You just got to make it what the characters are about, and have a Cody that is just like there for the thrill of the fight and just like wrecking people all over the place. That would be awesome to see.
Yeah, especially like with Cody's character, they would have to, I mean, I think he's had a really good character arc from Final Fight to Alpha 3 to 4 to 5. And it's funny, like, and you look at like how his character is, he went from a semi sort of good guy to just, he's like, oh fuck it, I just like to fight.
Yeah, right.
To I think 4 was his darkest point, and then 5 he's like, oh, I'm the mayor now.
I'm the mayor. Yeah. just pulled a U-turn on us. But you know, again, they kind of retrofit so much stuff, and you know, that's the nature of it. So even when we were writing, it was like trying to stitch together all of this Street Fighter lore of like, well, in this version he's doing this and now he's doing that. How are we going to make that make sense? And you just have to like kind of plug those holes, and we had to weave quite an intricate web to like make it all make sense. But it's the same thing. Like you can select like a time period on the journey, and that's why we did kind of the alpha version of Street Fighter. But yeah, having like an OG sort of Cody and Guy that's like actually doing like the first sort of iteration of themselves, like going and wrecking people on the street, would be pretty cool.
Definitely.
I reckon, yeah. Well, again, that's almost like a danger as well. If we did Street Fighter and it was, you know, well regarded by everyone, to not get stuck in like, oh, you guys can just adapt every video game, because there's some properties that we were very passionate about. Street Fighter, that was why I think it worked out so well. But if you're not like really, really into it, I think you almost want to hand the reins off to someone that's really, really got an eye on it. Because we had a lot of like meetings with Capcom going back and forth about like, no, it has to be like this. And then we had producers saying, oh, can you cut this bit? Even like little references, the bit where we're in the dojo looking at the name tags and we see Dan, and it was like, who the hell is Dan? Mm-hmm. And they wanted to cut all of that. It's like, well, it doesn't push the story forward. And we were like, no, you've got to understand, this is such an Easter egg. People will really freak out for it. And they did. So it was good to see that wasn't like us kind of like with egg on our face going like, oh, we thought they'd like that, but they didn't. Like understanding the fan base and the property is like, okay, you want to set things up for the future, even if it doesn't make sense now. But yeah, it's a journey for sure.
What was it like getting to work with Capcom? You know, when you guys are in the planning stages, back with the proof of concept with Street Fighter Legacy, and also with Resurrection and Assassin's Fist. Like, were they easy to work with, or?
I mean, it's a big company, and honestly, I was in, few of the negotiations. That was Jackie Quella, our amazing producer, and Mark Wooding and Joey himself were in those meetings, really fighting the good fight to get it made. It was like I say, years long of struggle, and such a big company. People, their people kind of change positions, or like this person's gone to another company. So you've just built up like a good rapport with someone that's just like, we want to get this made. This is great. And then next week you find out they've gone to Sony or something, and just like, oh, right. So you kind of start again and start again. So there's a lot of that working with like a big company, and also having like Capcom USA and Capcom Japan and Capcom Europe. It's like they're all also trying to communicate and find out, wait, did you know about this thing? Oh, no, we didn't know about that. We were working in like 3 different time zones. So from England, we're having to like talk to America, which is 8 hours behind, and then also talk to Japan, which is 8 hours ahead. So it was really like a full-time job for the whole thing. And there was a lot of meetings. Jackie and Joey really like crushed it with just selling them on the vision of what we wanted to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got the chance to make it, because we're just like, basically a couple of kids from England saying, we want to make a Street Fighter movie, and them saying, well, who the hell are you? So to be able to convince them, and like I said, I'm a visual person of like, I'll draw you what I want to see. Joey's great at like selling an idea, talking to someone, saying like, hey, this is what we want to do, getting them excited about it. And I think that's really what sold it and put it together. Like going into the room and saying, hey, this could be amazing, fans will love this, and really convincing them on the idea, and then getting the chance to go, okay, here's the product, and having people respond well to it, which is, I'm glad what the fans, like 95% of people enjoyed. You're always going to get people that don't like what you do, but you can't please everyone. And that's why you have to make sort of a true vision to what you want to see as well, for good or bad. But I'm just glad that Street Fighter fans kind of get what we were doing.
Definitely. So, aside from acting, you're also like a writer, producer, director, and cinematographer. So how did you end up getting into those fields, or is that like a natural progression step within like the film industry?
I think there's a organic sort of nature to it, because what Street Fighter was born out of, like I said, with the whole Stallone, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck thing of like, you're sitting there as an actor being like, well, no one's giving me a shot. What's going on? And then you start putting your own stuff together, whether it's little videos, and that's so accessible now as well with YouTube and just even camera phones being what they are. You can put your own stuff together and get it out there. I mean, it saturates the market for sure, but it also allows people with talent to access this kind of wider world of showing people what you can do, and you build up in steps. So that's kind of where it came out of. I have a design background. We lived together. We were like, oh, we should do this idea. Neither of us has written like a full-on screenplay like that before. I'd written shorts that we put together, and, you kind of get an idea of how story goes. You do your research, you put the work in. And yeah, just kind of born out of that. You just have to step up to different parts. And especially when you're working on lower budget stuff, did a lot of like guerrilla sort of projects in England where you're having to wear a bunch of different hats anyway. We don't have this guy to do that. Okay, you've got to step in and do it and learn the job. And then it's great because when you do work on something bigger, you can see, all right, well, this should be being done this way, or like I can see the trials and tribulations of making movies. And it is like a team effort. So you need all the people doing that stuff. It's a dream when everyone's on point doing their job, but when you work with different budgets and stuff, you're just like, all right, well, we'll just have to do this or we'll have to do that. And that's kind of the learning experience as well. So you do what you can to get it made, I guess, is the best way to put it. But if that means wearing a bunch of hats, then I'll do it. Joey will do it. Everyone I know, like even working on Street Fighter with Mike and everyone, like he's coming up with ideas for choreography, and we're just like, oh, what about if I did this? What about if I did that? And it just kind of comes organically like that. So everyone ends up doing as much as they can or they're able to, provided you're working with a good team, True.
How do you manage like the stress of having to carry all those different titles? Like that's got to be stressful.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a full-time job for several years. And I guess that's the way it goes with filmmaking. If you put your all into it and there's certain jobs where I know people will just be like, oh, this one's for the money, or they just sit back. And it's like, if you're doing your own project and it's blood, sweat, and tears, then you do everything you can to put it together. So, I think after we finished that, I recently moved over to the States, got kind of fat because I was like, all right, I'm just going to training like nonstop, doing like weights, gymnastics, plus writing and dealing with different time zones and everything is super stressful. So I took a bit of time off after that. And then everyone was like, well, a certain celebrity I was talking to at a party, I was very drunk and I made a faux pas and said he looked like someone. And he immediately fired back and said I looked like a fat Zac Efron. And I was like, there are worse things, but you're probably right. So I thought, all right, I gotta get back in shape. So if I ever start looking like fat Zac again, you can just tell me and I'll lose 10 pounds. But yeah, that comes down to how you deal with it, moving on to the next project and just, I guess, once you're in it, it's kind of like, when you stop, you get a cold, that sort of thing. Like if you're just going and going. But yeah, I guess it's easy to burn out. But it's a stressful job. I mean, training, exercise, that all helps if you can relax in different ways, or having good people around you is a huge thing. If you've got a good circle and people that really want you to do well and care about you, then that's the best thing.
Cool. I know you're working on the movie Jack and a couple of other projects. Are you able to speak about them, given, like, is there any NDAs or anything preventing you?
Well, I mean, things like, so Jack's another project that's kind of like it's an action comedy piece that I've been putting together for some time, and it's again like finding all the right pieces. So yeah, it's kind of like no news at the moment, but there are always things that are pushing forward. I'm doing a project that's another sort of superhero-esque thing. That's a project of my own that I just kind of want to showcase the filmmaking as well as like what I feel like it could have been, that sort of thing. So watch out for that. I think that's going to be coming later this year. But I'll give you a heads up. You can tell people whenever it's kind of ready to go. But I'm pretty excited about that one. Because also, I mean, not a lot of people know, but I actually was injured for like the better part of the early part of last year. So
What?
again, I bust my leg. So I was like out for a little bit, and so getting back into training and just being able to physically take on those roles as well, if it does require action. So I got back to like flipping around and doing stuff. And yeah, I guess you would have never known. Should have. Don't tell anyone. But you roll with it, and that gave me a lot of time to sit back and think about stuff and do a lot of writing and other projects. And you definitely find different things you can do no matter what. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. I'll just, when it's closer to the time, I'll blast it out.
Cool. I'm kind of curious now, like what kind of movies do you like to do? More action, comedy, mixture of both? And what type of actor are you? Would you say more an improv actor or method actor?
I mean, I do lots of different kinds of training, and I would love to do some good comedy, because the thing is, in real life, I'm very laid back. I'm very joking all the time. But when it comes to like projects that I've been involved in, stuff I've auditioned for, there's always a kind of darkness and an edge to it. So my whole reel is like just me playing these kind of like very intense characters. So, I mean, you play to your strengths and stuff, and that seems to be what I'm drawn to. But it'd be good to do some fun. I mean, comedy is very difficult to do, to get the timing and make it actually funny when you watch it. But that's, for the most part, it's always fairly serious, dramatic, and I'm kind of open to anything. I've done TV, film, stage stuff, whatever it is, and obviously action's a huge part of what I can do. So you play to your strengths. But I mean, I would say at the moment it always seems very serious, but I'd love to do something else.
Cool. So are we ever gonna see like you and Ruben Langdon ever collab on something? Because I mean, you guys have both played Ken, and I think you guys have met a couple times.
Yeah, I met Ruben a couple times. Such a nice guy, and it was funny because it was almost like I saw him at training one time and kind of walked in, and it was this like There's Ken over there. Like I had to go and introduce and be like, "Who's the Ken is Ken?" But he's OG Ken voice and everything. And I know Mark Musashi as well, who did the Tekken X Street Fighter project there actually as well. Great, they're all killing it in what they do. And yeah, Ruben's a super. Yeah, I mean, it would be fun to collaborate on some stuff. Some like funny videos or something. We'll do some funny Ken stuff.
Cool. So are there any other any things in the pipeline that you'd like to speak on? I mean, hey, this is about you, man. I want to showcase, this conversation, this podcast with the world. So it's like, let's go. Let's get into it. Anything you want to talk about? You're excited about? Anything you're working on?
Oh, gee, I'm just living the dream right now. Just doing what I can do. But yeah, there's a few projects I'm working on that, like I say, close to the time, I'd love to like just blast them out there. But yeah, we're just working away. I'll come to Hawaii sometime. How about that? That would be awesome.
Let's see. I think we were. Oh yeah. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, what advice would you give to fans in the audience here that are trying to audition for roles or looking to get into acting, directing, or anything involved with the filming industry?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. With like now, it's so accessible to put your own stuff out there, and having the chance to do so and whatnot is partly just taking that chance. Doing it yourself. There's so much opportunity now to put your own stuff online, and you'll get feedback, whether it's people hating on you for what you did, and then you can improve from there, or it's like. I mean, I follow a few YouTube channels and like I really like the quality of the video and like the presentation of it. But if you go back to the beginning of when they were first doing stuff and you think like, oh, this is all like janky and everything, and they kind of refine it. And that's only through putting out there and doing it. So that's kind of the best advice. I mean, I've met like voice actors that are just, I do voices, and then I thought I'll record some, put them out there, and then you kind of go from there. And it was the same with, what we did with Legacy was like, all right, let's put something together. Let's partner up with good people. That's another one. If you meet the right people that you can work with and really learn from, I think is the main thing. And not be too stubborn and in your own head of like, well, I want to do it this way. Like you got to be open to seeing opportunities and learning from the right people. And I think I'm more like that since I moved to California, where I'm just kind of like, all right, there's good people here that even if it's not like a payday or something like that, you're getting the opportunity to work with great people. And if you can absorb that and learn from that, then I think that's the best way to learn anything, is by seeing the successful people do it. And I think that's how you get a little further along. But yeah, I think it's practice. Putting out your own content is the main thing. I mean, I'm sure it's probably even the same with you and the podcast. Like, you're doing so many of them that now it's easy for you.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first started, I was struggling to get anyone to come on, and I've only been doing this for like a year and probably 2 or 3 months, and I was struggling to get anyone to come on the first couple months, and then especially other YouTubers. It's really funny,
right.
And I'm not trying to throw shade at other YouTubers, but I've run into YouTubers I looked up to, and I'm shocked to find how many egos there are. I'm like,
sure,
goodness, you guys are your egos are bigger than what you would expect a Hollywood person's ego.
Right. Well, YouTube's so big now, isn't it? Like that's kind of part of it as well. People feeling heavy. They're just like, all right, I'm the shit now. So yeah, I mean that's a good warning sign, I guess, for me. If you meet people that are like that and not so humble, or I've met people that are like huge at what they do and they're very humble with it, and they're not bragging, and they're just like there to work. It's good to see.
It's definitely something. Like over the after I got my first voice actor on the show, which I believe was Griffin Burns, and then it went from him to Richard Epcar, and then to Michael T. Coleman from Street Fighter, and then just kept going and going and going. And it's like I'm at a point now where like I reach out like, hey, would you like to come on? And people are like, yeah. But when it comes to trying to get another YouTuber on here, good Lord.
Yeah.
I can't get them, but I can get everyone else. I'm like, okay, this is my niche. I'll just stay in it.
Right. Well, but I think it is about the collaboration as well. Like this, if people are short-sighted to see that. But I guess they all want to get something from it, or there's some people that don't want to be overshadowed. Maybe that's it. Maybe you're too good looking, and they were like, we can't do it.
Oh man. So is there any like movies or video games that you're looking forward to that are coming out?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's suffering a bit from this. Well, not everyone, but I'm suffering. I can't speak for everyone. I'm suffering a bit from this superhero fatigue of like every big blockbuster now. And unpopular opinion, I'm sorry, but Aquaman, I didn't love it, So, I mean, other than that, I haven't been for so long. I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse yet, which is like, I know it's way old now, but I need to check that out. And yeah, what else is coming? There's even like Miss Marvel. I was meant to watch it with my good buddy Gaku Space, also voice actor from Street Fighter. But he went with someone else. So, so right now I don't know. And in terms of games, I honestly don't really play that much anymore. I was obviously a huge Street Fighter fan. I used to play it every day. But now I actually don't have a games console. So unless I know. Sorry everyone. Unless I'm hanging with people that do, then I rarely get to play the latest game. But I do what I can. I don't know where the time goes. I used to spend a lot of time watching movies and playing video games, and now I feel like I don't have time to do that. So I know what happened. I grew up. It's horrible.
Isn't it funny though? Like when, because I believe you and I are around the same age range, but in our like teens and 20s, just like, oh man, we're gonna play this game, we're gonna watch this movie, and then you grow up and you're like, I need to sleep or I need to do this.
I think that's the biggest part of it.
But yeah, so I'll say this though, like I think you're not wrong in saying a lot of us are having the superhero movie fatigue. Like DC Universe, they haven't really put out anything good in a long while, aside from Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to Marvel, I feel like we need a break.
Sure.
I mean, I've enjoyed it. I saw one. The Captain Marvel. I didn't enjoy it.
No,
I didn't really enjoy it.
Definitely, I need to check it out. But that's how they've got us by the balls, you see, because you have to see everything to understand everything else.
Yeah.
And I think it's incredible what they've done over the last 10 years. Is like it's unbelievable to have. It's never been done before. To have such a series of movies that are so interconnected, and I think it's amazing, and I wish I was involved, but here we are. But people can only take so much of a certain thing, and then tastes change, times change, that sort of thing. So and I think DC haven't really hit the mark on what they've been trying to do, which is unfortunate because they've got great characters, but again, I don't know if it's having different people doing different properties and then them not really mixing together, or like how they started off on quite a somber foot with the Zack Snyder sort of Man of Steel. I wasn't really a fan of that iteration, but
yeah, me neither.
It's also interesting when you watch a lot of like it's almost retrospective reviews now where people will talk about that sort of what they were trying to do, and you're like, oh, it makes a lot of sense. I just wish the execution had been clearer, or just more enjoyable, maybe, because it wasn't that much fun. I think that's the part of it too. But yeah, so I think superhero movies are, I don't know, every other movie is a superhero movie, or probably more than that. So yeah, it's tricky, but that's the thing right now. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't know. I do enjoy other sort of action stuff and just even romantic stuff. I just watched The Notebook. I'd never seen it. Who knew?
That movie's good.
I was forced to watch it by a girl, but I actually enjoyed it. So.
Oh, would you say? See what? Oh, good God! I lost the question.
Yeah, I mentioned The Notebook, and you started to tear up, and you couldn't lost your train of thought. I'm sorry. It was my fault.
Oh man. Yeah, that train of thought went away. my goodness. Well, here's another question. One of the last questions I was going to ask you is, if you had the opportunity to be in either as a voice actor or portray a character in like a proof of concept or a movie or TV series, what character would that be? Like if it's a game or a movie or anime?
I mean, there's so many good and iconic ones, and I know that they need a new Wolverine. That would be incredible to do that properly, and even guys like, I mean, I know they're working on a Nightwing right now, but that's such a dope character to have, that sort of style. But who I always liked was Grifter from the Wildcats. I thought he was an awesome character, and I think that's a pretty good. He's got a little bit of Deadpool-esque, but he's kind of more serious. That would be a great character to do a little homage to. But I was kind of sore about Iron Fist, the series. It wasn't my jam. So that I think could be done justice pretty well, and I'd love to take a stab at that and just do something really, really exciting and really, again, like true to the source material and stuff. But yeah, they're all good characters. I mean, after doing Ken, you obviously don't want to get stuck doing that, but it's also amazing that people know me from that. I mean, if I hadn't done that, I doubt anyone would really care what I was up to with other projects. But yeah, it's good. It's a gift and a curse, and I think that was a great sort of opportunity for me after we wrote the series. Was like, all right, this is the guy that I used to play as when I was a kid, and having the chance to be like, all right, you fit the bill for that. Because I think, even if it was your favorite character, if you didn't fit the bill, then what are you going to do? So I think, a lot of those characters, if you're realistic about your options, I mean, like a Wolverine would be great because I'm not that tall, but I'm like average height. But yeah, he's supposed to be like 5'3", so I'm not even short enough to do that. But if Hugh Jackman can do it, then what's he, like 6'2" or something?
Aren't you 6 feet?
No, I'm 5'10". Don't tell anyone. Edit that part out. 6 feet. That would be great. No, I mean, who cares? I'm appropriate height for Ken. That's what matters. Because me and Mike are pretty much the same height, so that worked out in terms of a Ryu and Ken duo. We're pretty similar. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if you have some suggestions, who would you say? Who would you see me as? That would be a good one. I put it on you. How about that?
I could see you playing Terry McGinnis if they do like a Batman Beyond series or movie. I think you would do really well. You have the look for it, and I definitely have the acting ability. I could also see you, like, if you went with another video game character from Capcom, I could see you definitely doing Dante from Devil May Cry.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be something else. That's a really fantastical sort of world building thing, and I think that would be a really cool sort of iconic character. I heard the rights are tied up somewhere with. They've been trying to do stuff like that. Well, you know what I think would be super cool is a Metal Gear Solid Snake. I mean I loved the older.
Do that.
That would be super.
Can you gruff your voice?
Do a Solid Snake Major.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, well, no, that would be super cool to do, like a really dope sort of espionage sort of movie with Solid Snake.
Well, I was gonna say, like, Andy Shankir, he's doing the Devil May Cry series on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
You could,
just get in there. So Andy,
I
if
can
you're
give
watching
you
this,
his contact if you want. I have his contact.
There we go. Let's make it happen.
I'll shoot that over to you too.
Pimp me out all over the place.
Yeah, man, I would definitely see, especially like now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you could do Snake, you could do Terry McGinnis. Who else could you play? You're very versatile. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm Caucasian male of breeding age. I can do anything.
Oh yeah. Man.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of iconic characters, and to find untapped ones is what would be great. To do something that hasn't been done before, hasn't been done justice, and I think that's kind of where we lucked out with Street Fighter. Was like the only other versions were like the Van Damme film, which I don't think any of the characters really hit the mark on that. And bless it, it's a guilty pleasure for sure. But none of you didn't watch it and think that's exactly what I wanted to see with that. Other than Zangief was incredible in it. That was that's my favorite. But Raul Julia's all in. He's given it everything. But I don't know. We'll see what comes up because there's always changing stuff, and I think like I say, maybe this superhero fatigue is over. But if you can get in on it, everyone that's in Marvel, like kudos to them. They're killing it right now.
Indeed. Well, is there anything you want to leave the audience with? Or?
I just want to thank everyone for listening and hopefully enjoying my ramblings. You can edit out all the bits for saying stupid stuff. That would be great. Other than that, thank you all for tuning in. It's been fun. And I don't know. Find me on socials at Christian Howard on Instagram. And try not to leave any weird comments. That would be great. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I'll catch you all on the flip side, I guess.
All right. And I actually lied. I have one final question.
No, it's too late. You said. All right, go.
Did you have fun?
Of course I did. It's such a pleasure to talk to you, and I really appreciate you reaching out. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's been an honor having you on the show. And I'll leave links to all your social media outlets down in the description below of the podcast. So, and people, if you want to catch this one, you'll be able to catch it not only on youtube.com/Mikel Kasanova, but you'll also be able to catch it on iTunes, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, the airport.
My God. That was right in the middle of your flow as well.
It's fine. See how I just went with it too. The airport knows.
You can find me at the airport. Yeah. Getting the hell out of town.
So basically, every podcasting outlet you'll be able to find us on, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, coming soon to Podcast One, as well as Sirius FM Radio. So thank you guys for watching. Christian, stay around. I'm gonna talk to you off air a little bit, but thank you guys for coming through, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova Podcast? Well, I hope you did. And if you did, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let us know what we can improve upon, what you liked, what you didn't like, and all that good stuff. And just make sure you always have a good time. That being said, this is your boy Mikel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out, and I'll catch you on the next episode.